Maine Republicans are pushing back against the initial language released by Secretary of State Shannon Bellows on a ballot question seeking to ban transgender students from girls' sports and private spaces. The initial drafting of the ballot question reads, "Do you want to change civil rights and education laws to require public schools to restrict access to bathrooms and sports based on the gender on the child's original birth certificate and allow students to sue the schools?" Lawmakers supporting the citizens' referendum, which is set to be on the November ballot, say it's not Bellows' job to advocate for issues as Secretary of State, arguing this language frames the issue in a negative way to sway voters. Republicans claim the proposal seeks to protect girls in Maine public schools, and the current language doesn't represent the tens of thousands of Mainers who signed the referendum petition.
Words like restrict access and emphasis on lawsuits are not neutral descriptions. They're persuasive words meant to influence voters. Maine law requires ballot questions be clear, concise, and directly reflective of the proposed legislation.
In a statement, Bellows says we are in the 30-day public comment period where any Maine voter can make suggestions on how the question should be worded, adding, quote, "I look forward to reading everyone's suggestions and will take all of them into consideration when I finalize the question for the ballot," unquote. Comments on the question's wording will be accepted until 5 p.m. on May 7th. There's information on how to do that on the Secretary of State's website. There's a public hearing in the Judiciary Committee on the proposal tomorrow morning.